Technical difficulties, Ben,
Technical difficulties, Tom.
but we're back. My
Yeah.
camera overheated.
Yeah.
So the good thing is we got another camera.
Yeah. Little switcheroo.
Yeah.
All right.
So where were we?
We were covering Mark's question, how long does it take to start physically recovering? And, we kind of, I think we pretty much touched on it. I mean, it's all relative. What do you consider physically recovered? Is that, just barely being able to get through the day, normal life, just not feeling like you have the flu or withdrawal symptoms, or is it being able to operate at an elite level, or depends what drugs you've been on, expectations also. So it's kind of it's a question that I don't know, man, open for interpretation, if you will. How much effort are you willing to put into to getting better? You willing to eat better? Are you willing to exercise? Your phone light's on.
Not anymore.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, I turned it off.
But
yeah. So
should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I wanted to pull something from the group. Again, if you haven't joined the Sobriety Network, go to Facebook, type in the Sobriety Network, click join. There was something interesting that somebody posted. That shout out to Dr. Tambini too, by the way, putting out these reels. She just put one out about heart health, or the 10,000 steps. That's a big deal. I don't think people utilize walking near enough. People, staying on the fitness thing, people look at fitness as you have to, and I've fallen into this. It's really difficult for me to work out if I don't have some sort of plan or program put in place. Because if I don't have some sort of direction or some sort of goal tied to it, then a lot of times I'll just talk myself out of it. When in reality, a lot of times, especially people that are new in sobriety, your first week, first 30 days, or even wherever you are in your sobriety, if you've never incorporated fitness, just as simple as walking intentionally, is a good place to start. Because, in my situation, wanting to tie a goal to it, I have a history of weight training. I did powerlifting for a long time. I did CrossFit for a long time. So I've always had a level of fitness background. But for somebody that doesn't have that, I think, walking is a good place to start. Again, intentional walking. And how do I incorporate this in my day? Even if I'm at the grocery store, I legit, unless it's extenuating circumstances, like it's pouring down rain, I'll walk the cart back. Now,
you should always walk the cart back.
Not if it's downpouring.
What does that even have to do with walking? For spiritual reasons, you should be walking the cart back regardless.
We're not talking about spiritual reasons.
All right, just checking.
Do you
walk the cart back?
Yeah.
Always.
Even if it's pouring down rain?
Dude, absolutely.
You're full of shit. I don't believe it. There's no way.
Dude.
Okay, well, anyways,
if you don't bring the cart back, guaranteed relapse within 24 hours.
Somebody's going to clip that.
That's where I stand.
Mm-hmm. But something that small, or taking the stairs instead of the elevator, stuff like that. But I tell people, and I got this, I didn't make this up myself, but like walking after you eat a meal, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes a day, shooting somewhere between 7 and 10,000 steps, I think is a fair place for somebody to start. And then you kind of go from there. Maybe then you incorporate 1 day of weight training and then 2 days, whatever the case is. So did you have something? I'm trying to find this comment.
As far as the walking part, I learned a good lesson with that, where I always didn't give walking the credit deserved, because, growing up, I grew up in a family of runners. So everything was track and cross country and marathons. And, I kind of looked at cardio like, if you're not running, you're not doing cardio, or at least something as intense. But when I ended up getting appreciation for walking, honestly, was being in a bodybuilding prep.
Yeah.
And tracking it on your phone, it's something I never did until I was told to by my coach. You know, but I use my iPhone, get the Apple app in there. It just tells you about how many steps you do a day. And at one point, he had me doing 8,000. Then we bumped it to 10,000, got up to 15,000 steps a day. And when you're intentional about it, I noticed it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly too. I was pretty taken back. So I don't know, man. I think cardio might be my new favorite form of cardio, or walking might be my new favorite form of cardio.
It should be your only form of cardio.
I don't agree with that.
Well, I didn't ask if you agreed. All right. Colleen, this I found it. She said, I assume the behaviors affiliated with drug addiction could fly under the radar. I never expected drug addiction / behaviors to get worse with each passing year. That's interesting. You think they're worse then? Wait till somebody has some sobriety time, and then if they relapse and go back out, the behaviors and stuff are even worse. If you get somebody that has a taste of sobriety under their belt and then they go back out, they're going hard.
They're going ham.
Yeah. It's, when you don't have a taste of recovery or a taste of sobriety and what that entails, what that looks like, you don't really know what to expect. But once you have that,
I think the VA is calling me. What do I do since we're live?
just walk out.
All right.
When you have that, it becomes something that is
Rock Recovery Center.
Something that you want to, or when you relapse, if you have the sobriety under your belt before, I don't know. That's the saying. Here you come. Ben's coming back. Relapse gets worse every single time. The consequences get worse every single time. You can never drink the same again. You can never drug the same again, which is why people, I think, go off the wall with every relapse.
Well, I think too, over the course of years, also, like in the beginning, in order to acquire drugs or keep up that lifestyle, there's things that I was willing to do in the beginning. And then you like push the envelope a little bit more. The more that I was around drug addicts doing the same thing, like there was someone that was like, oh, I do this to get it. Oh, I do that to get money to get it. And it just keeps your willingness to do more and more and push the envelope increases over time. By the end, I was doing things to get drugs and alcohol that I would have never done in the beginning.
Right.
I think a lot of that pertains to not just the mental, but the physical side. Like when the withdrawal gets that bad years down the road, you're up in your game as far as getting that next fix. Without a doubt. And mentally, you're more and more dependent on it. Like if you're needing a drink and you're not getting it and someone's standing in your way, like maybe it sounds like a family member, I'm going to have that mental drive, that mental obsession to get it. Like, get out of my way. I'm going to plow you over to get that thing. Where in the beginning, maybe you could have held off for a few hours until a more appropriate time to drink. I think a good example would be like the holidays are coming up. You're sitting at Turkey Day dinner, right? And like no one in the family's drinking. And you're like, oh man, you could like make it through the dinner and then drink out. But then it gets to the point where you start sneaking what you need to the dinners every year. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and staying on track with that, with every relapse, if you have an experience, if you've experienced sobriety, it's that much harder to get back to it. Which comes with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. And I mean, I've seen people that have had substantial sobriety time. They go back out and they don't come back because of fear of judgment, fear of what people will think, fear of what people will say, those sorts of things. And the longer you stay out, obviously the consequences continue to compound. And then you can run into obviously physical issues, especially with alcohol, cirrhosis, kidney failure, all the things that come with that, all because people are ashamed to go back to where they got sober to begin with. So, and when you get in that mindset and you don't want to go back, people end up getting the efforts and they're like, I'm just going to burn everything to the ground. And sometimes they do, including themselves,
Yep.
you know? And so, but anyways, those were 2 questions that I wanted to cover. Anything else, Ben?
No.
We got something exciting that we're going to undertake here in the next few weeks. Eric? So, Eric, if you don't know Eric, you may have seen him on our Instagram. Our Instagrams are Real Recovery Talk Tom and Real Recovery Talk Ben. Eric is an employee here at Rock Recovery Center, and he knows the Big Book better than just about anybody I know. Do you know anybody that knows the Big Book better than him, Ben? And you're Big Book Ben.
I'll go head to head with them. Let's go.
All right. Well, anyways, Eric.
He has a very, I will say this, the way that he presents it is, I'll use the word magical.
He can capture an audience.
Yes, 100%.
So Eric does a Big Book study here in Palm Beach County every Thursday, and it's standing room only. At minimum, 100 people in this room, and he's had multiple people ask him to expand on that, like whether do it at another meeting or something along those lines. So he said, well, let's try and run it live and make it open to everybody. So that's going to be starting in the next few weeks. He has a couple of speaking engagements over the next couple of weeks, and then we're going to iron out some of the details. It will be, I know for a fact, it will be Mondays at 5 o'clock, because I know I can be here and I know Eric can be here. And Ben, you can be here sporadically, pop in. I think with you and him some days, it would be phenomenal. And the format of it will be 30 minutes of Eric. So he's going to go literally line by line through the book, break it down, what this means, what that means, how to interpret it, stuff like that. And then it'll be open for discussion through the chat. Everything's going to be streamed through here, StreamYard. So you obviously have a chat opportunity. You submit your questions. I'll be there monitoring the chat, and I'll let Eric know, hey, you know, John Doe asked this question, and then Eric will riff on that for a couple of minutes. So I'm excited for it. I think it'll be good. And, you know, I don't see why we can't get a few hundred people in on that every week. So that's it. You good, Ben?
I'm good.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Remember the Sobriety Network. Go to Facebook, join that. And I'm going to get up now, and I'm going to walk over there and turn this live stream off. So, all right.
Peace and chicken grease.
Okay.
No one told you I love you today. Tom does.
I do.
I'm going to go pack up, bro. I might try and